Health Siren is proud to sponsor and presents a new episode in the series on freedom from disease by Anand Bapat, acupuncturist naturopath based in Pune. Please enjoy it, share it with others, and provide feedback as well. Here is Anand Bapat.
In parts A and 8A and 8B on exercise, we have now covered sports, effect of weights and weight training, slow motion exercise, and yoga in detail. Let us now move to Suryanamaskar as we teach it. Let us explore scientific Suryanamaskar as it is known and its in-depth know-how. The facts you should know about scientific Suryanamaskar. It has 11 grades of difficulty, and within each grade there are further various levels depending on which grade it is, amounting to a total of 70 plus levels of difficulty within the same Surya Namaskar technique. It takes us 8 hours to teach it for anyone who is interested. We endeavor to take everyone on their personal journey to achieve their personal best. This means we might have 10 students and each student may progress at their own personal rate, and at the end of 8 hours or 8 weeks of training, they would have achieved differing levels of Surya Namaskar grades. Hence, the destination for everyone is obviously different based on their practice, their ability, their age, their pre-fitness, etc. Some people or most people achieve 6 or the 7th level out of 70 levels of difficulty, while some have gone on to achieve up to 20 plus levels of difficulty out of the 70. Presently we teach at Pune only. Now when we talk about scientific Surya Namaskar, the essence or the aim of scientific Surya Namaskar is to provide a platform for today's busy lifestyle. We notice that in today's lifestyle, we have very little time for a lot of things, whether it is eating, whether it is exercise, whether it is leisure activity, and that puts a strain on our lifestyle and our human element, which is the body. So Surya Namaskar tries to adjust to the busy schedule and provide a platform for whole body exercise. Surya Namaskar provides complete exercise for all the joints, muscles and brain of the body. Now most people are aware that Surya Namaskar is a complete exercise where every joint and every muscle of the body is exercised. In the technique we follow, you will find that the brain also has to be really focused. When we practice 20 minutes of scientific Surya Namaskar, whatever the grade level you have achieved, it provides adequate cardio-pulmonary maintenance. Surya Namaskar can be done to your body's maximum ability for 20 minutes only to gain adequate fitness and health for your day-to-day activities. This is irrespective of whether you are a top world-class athlete, a martial artist, or an average person. You achieve your level accordingly, and then when you practice that in 20 minutes, you have worked out all your muscles and joints to the level that you are used to. It fits into today's fast-paced lifestyle, where time is at a premium and not available for long fitness routines and workouts. There is minimal space required as long as your own bed. Of course, you can't do it in bed. And no equipment is required for Surya Namaskar. Now we are going to demonstrate through the following videos grades 1 and 2, grades 3 and 5, and grades 4 and 6. And I'm going to elaborate on that and what is different between each one as we go along. Let us first start with grade 1 and 2. We have incorporated grade 1 and 2 specifically to cater to being able to incorporate people who are currently practicing Suryanamaskar of various standards. So what we include as grade 1 is the Suryanamaskar that you are practicing, and that is without breathing control, breath control. When you go to grade 2, we are looking at the same Suryanamaskar that you have been practicing with breath control, holding the breath at certain times, releasing the breath at certain times, etc. Now, the essence about grade 1 and 2 that you need to watch out for in this video is fundamentally you need to realize that 1 and 2 is about just getting the movement done. So, this Surya Namaskar will conclude within about 5 or 7 seconds, the whole of the Namaskar. You will notice that not adequate stretch is provided to each of the joints. If stretch is provided, it is barely for a fraction of a second because stretch is there in so many of the postures and none of them are optimized to give you adequate stretching of those muscles and ligaments. It is what we call a bit of a lip service to the stretching aspect. When you do the Namaskar, which is the lying down pose, you'll find most people doing grade 1 and 2 tend to lie flat on the floor, touching their knees, touching their chest, touching their abdomen and touching their head. That is because that is the way they have been taught. And these are things that are different. When you rest like that, your arms don't become strong enough to cope with the day-to-day strength required in a man's life, man or woman's life. Similarly, when you do grade 1 or 2 Surya Namaskar, which takes about 5 to 7 seconds, you will need to do a lot of them to get somewhere. And because of the lack of stretching, lack of complete joint movement, lack of exercise-induced movement when you do the Namaskar, you will find the benefits will be at a lower threshold than they are possible if you upscale the same exercise at a slightly different level with adequate stretching, etc. We will talk about that in grade 3 and 5. Now, having observed that, let us move to grade 3 and grade 5. Now, why have we included grade 3 and grade 5? We are trying to provide a presentation where you get a gist of what our grading system may be. Now, let me first explain grade 3. The essence of grade 3 is stretching and hold for a fixed period, stretching and movement. So, let me recap again. Grade 3 is about stretching and holding in the position, and then continuing to stretch and move. There is also a time component. In grade 3, the time component we have used is 5 seconds. So every movement is for 5 seconds and every holding position is again for 5 seconds. What is the difference between grade 3 and grade 5? Oh, let me just recap. In grade 3 and grade 5 are all the odd numbered grades, 3, 5, 7, 9. Breathing is relaxed at all times. So grade 3 and grade 5 that we are going to demonstrate, both are going to be 5-second Surya Namaskars, which will mean that the whole Namaskar will take 115 seconds to be concluded. Both will have stretching, stretch and hold, stretch and move. In grade 5, the extra thing that will happen, which may not be visible to the naked eye, if you watch carefully, you may see the hardship of the practitioner, but it may not emphasize the amount of effort that he is putting in, and that is what we call intrinsic resistance. Now, when we talk about intrinsic resistance, we are actually referring to the muscles being tightened up during the movement, during the stretch. Whereas in grade 3, the muscles are comparatively quite relaxed. So in grade 5, the intensity of the exercise over the same 5 seconds Suryanamaskar is a lot more intense, maybe about 5, 8, 10 times more difficult than in grade 3. So let us look at this video and we will go through the description as we see it. As the video runs, first thing you will notice is grade 3 and grade 5. Grade 3 is conducted by the lady, Vaishali. Grade 5 is conducted by Kapil, the gentleman. In their starting position, you will notice first that the grade 3 girl demonstrating it is quite relaxed in the namaskar, standing namaskar position. Whereas Kapil is more tightened up and his muscles are much more tenser, if you care to look for it. Now, even though they are doing the same time count, you will find as they move up to step 1 of the 12-step namaskar, you will find Kapil is doing it against resistance, Vaishali is doing it without resistance. When they get to step 1, they hold that posture for 5 seconds. When they go from step 1 to step 2, which is the longest movement, they go briskly within the 5-second format. So something that they need to compute and learn every time is 5 seconds across different movements. Then they again hold in that position and then they take one leg back. When they take one leg back, again they should be in the final position in 5 seconds and then stretch. If you observe carefully, you may notice Kapil's muscles being more taut and visibly tensed. Then they go to 4, where both legs are back and they are in Parvatasana and stretching their hamstrings to the limit. Now when they go to Namaskar, this is the most important phase of our technique. In addition to the stretching and hold and time, when they go to Namaskar, it should take them 5 seconds to get there. You don't just flop within 1 second. And you do not touch any part of the body to the floor. Only the toes and the hands are touching the floor. And you stay as close to the floor as possible. Now the next movement from Namaskar to Bhujangasana is the shortest movement. So this movement also has to take 5 seconds and it is quite difficult, believe me, it is a hardship. So they move gently to Bhujangasana, hold there, return to Namaskar in 5 seconds, again the difficult part, and then return all the way back to Parvatasana, back to bringing one leg forward. In our technique, we talk about take the same leg back and the same leg brought forward, which makes the cycle complete. And when they finish, it should be in 5 seconds. You do not go to position 1 or position 11 and finish in just 2 seconds. You have to finish off in 5 seconds. So this was grade 3 and grade 5, where grade 3 is without resistance, complete stretch, stretch and hold, stretch and move, and timed in a 5-second increment of Suryanamaskar, which took 115 seconds to complete. Now we will jump one grade and we will add grade 4 and grade 6 to the demonstration. And you can now see the difference between grade 3 and grade 4 or grade 5 and grade 6. Now let me explain what grade 4 and grade 6 is all about. All the even numbered grades are where you control your breath. And there's a set pattern for controlling your breath. Every time you move from start to finish, you follow an order of breathe in. During the static phase where you hold the posture, you hold your breath. When you move next, you breathe out. And then in the next static phase, you hold your breath again. And we follow this cycle all the way till completion. So, let us see them in their starting position. And the starting position may appear very similar. Remember, grade 6 is doing the same thing with resistance. So even when he's breathing in and out, Kapil will have to blow harder and suck harder the breath to enforce the chest muscles, intercostal muscles to work harder. Again, the levels increase drastically. Level of difficulty. increases drastically. So, going from demonstrating now grade 4 and grade 6, Vaishali is doing grade 4 with breathing, Kapil is doing grade 6 with resistance and breathing. So an extra layer of breathing has been added on to the previous grade 3 and grade 5 levels. So now let us look at this Surya Namaskar, and you will find as they breathe in, they will breathe in for 5 seconds as they come to the step 1. There they will hold their breath for 5 seconds. When they move from there, they will start breathing out. Kapil will breathe out forcefully and complete the breathing out by the time he gets his hands to the next position. Then when you kick one leg back, you breathe in and hold your breath in that position. Then when you come to Parvatasana, you breathe out, stretch the hamstrings. Again you will observe that Kapil's postures may demonstrate increased tension in the muscles, whereas Vaishali's may not be as tense. Then when you go to Namaskar, you breathe in forcefully for Kapil and relax for Vaishali, and breathe in and go down, breathing in for 5 seconds. You do not breathe in for 2 seconds and keep going. Your breath should continue for 5 seconds. When you get to Namaskar, you hold the posture for 5 seconds. Remember, grade 4 and grade 6, there is no touching the floor other than the hands or the toes. So you hold the posture there. Then remember again, Bhujangasana is the shortest movement. So you still have to breathe out in 5 seconds. But you can't move fast. You still have to move equally slowly to achieve that 5-second movement to get to Bhujangasana. There you hold your breath, and as you come back to Namaskar, you breathe in, hold your breath. As you go to Parvatasana, you breathe out and stretch the hamstrings. As you come back with one leg forward, you breathe in, bring the legs together and stand still touching your toes. You breathe out. Then remember again that the movement from there to position 1 or position 10 to position 11 is the longest movement, so you need to move faster to get the same distance in 5 seconds. And while you're doing this, your breath should be breathing in all the way for those 5 seconds. Then you hold your position there with full stretch, hold your breath, and then finish off with breathing out again. Now that is the completion of grade 4 and grade 6 demonstration that you witnessed. And now you will appreciate that the difference between grade 1 and grade 2. Grade 2, doing it with breathing, is a bit harder. We call that level 2 out of 70. Grade 1 is 1 out of 70. When you do grade 3, you are doing 6 out of 70. We are showing you a grade 3 level 4, which is a 5-second Surya Namaskar, and that is 6 out of 70, whereas grade 5 level 4 is 10 out of 70. When you do grade 4 level 4, you are doing level 10. No, hang on. Grade 5 level 4 was 14 out of 70. When you do grade 4 level 4, you are achieving a rough level of 10 out of 70. But when you go to grade 6 level 4, you are achieving a level of 18 out of 20. And this is the way the progress happens. Now I want you to take a big note about this fact. The increase in the level of difficulty, even though we have tried to enumerate it numerically as 1, 2, 5, 7, 10, 15, 16, 18, is not linear. Because it is like when you do resistance against resistance, you are using 1/3 of your ability of force you might be able to elicit. Now that is a big jump, and accordingly it is quite tiring as well. So I hope this has clarified a little bit more about our technique of Surya Namaskar. Now we are going to let you listen to the names of the 12 Surya Namaskar in order. Now this song has been created by a friend of mine, and it has been sung by Vaishnavi Bapat. So let us listen to that song.
Om
Now we are also going to talk a little bit about pranayama here, because that is something we have not touched in detail. And to demonstrate that, we have got Vaishali, who is going to demonstrate in a short clip, video clip, deep breathing and how it should be done. Now, for good therapeutic benefits in terms of healing, we believe 40, 50, 60 seconds per breath is sort of essential. We cannot do a 5-second breath and expect healing to happen. So, let us look at Vaishali's demonstration video, and we will see that her breathing technique demonstrates to us that you can breathe in for 7, 8, 9, 10 seconds. You can hold your breath for maybe about 20 seconds. You can breathe out slowly through the mouth for another 20, 25 seconds. And then you hold your breath again for between 5 to 8 or 10 seconds. This constitutes roughly a minute. Vaishali may demonstrate a bit longer duration. Please look at the video, understand the significance, and try to implement. Long and deep breathing in. Holding your breath as long as possible. Breathing out slowly and completely through your mouth. And holding your breath again. Now remember, these 4 parts of breath are existent even when we do breathe every day. The difference is, we just breathe in for about 1 or 2 seconds. We very rarely hold the breath for more than quarter of a second or less. And we breathe out in 2, 3, 4 seconds. And we again very rarely hold our breath after we breathe out. Thus, our breath tends to be 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds as normal. And each one of you can trial that. If you wish to practice it and check for yourself, you do a simple exercise, time yourself for 5 normal breaths and see how much is per breath. And don't be surprised if you find that, oh, it's only 5 or 6 seconds. That is fairly the norm. But you need to rise above that. Now, let me take you through the complete breathing cycle again. Long and deep breathing in. You have to be slow and deep breathing in. You cannot just breathe in fast, because that makes all the accessory muscles of the chest, the small muscles of breathing, work harder. You must hold your breath as long as possible till you can't breathe out, till you can't hold it anymore. When it comes to that point, then you think of breathing out. You do not hold your nose or block your nose. You just do it naturally. Breathing out slowly and completely through your mouth, it is recommended through the mouth, because till you are perfectly trained, when you breathe out through the nose, you're going to blow it out all in one big huff. Whereas when you breathe out through the mouth, you can modulate it, something like this. Which you would have seen Vaishali demonstrate, but if it wasn't visible, maybe my face will make it more obvious. Now when you breathe out, you must breathe out completely. So you squeeze the lungs, squeeze the abdomen, and try to squeeze the lungs to their maximum. Now after that, you must try to hold your breath again. Now remember another thing, this style of breathing, what we call complete breathing, is very powerful. Some of you may immediately notice that you may feel lightheaded or you may feel dizzy. Please do not push the body beyond the limits of what you can cope with. If you feel lightheaded, if you feel dizzy, stop doing the breathing exercise, rest, recover, and then do it at a lot lesser level, because simply your body is not ready to accept that extra rich oxygen breath that you are trying to give it. Until it gets used to it, you need to phase its way through step by step. We are going to give you a brief case history about Suryanamaskar. This was a very interesting person who had a history of slip disc, who was a very active mountaineer, fitness freak, trekker, etc., etc. And due to a traumatic injury, he had a slip disc. And the options offered to him were surgery, surgery, and surgery. and he refused to consider surgery as an option. Unfortunately, this happened while I was in Australia, and when I had arrived here for a visit for a few weeks, this man, through his contacts, came to meet me about a few days before I was ready to depart. Naturally, I could not follow up the treatment because in the past when I've treated slip disc with acupuncture, it has taken me about 2 to 3 months to treat them, and hopefully they get better 100%. So I suggested to him, look, I can't really treat you now because what are we going to do afterwards? I'm not here and I'm going to be away for 1 or 2 years. So why don't you try this? And I suggested he do some simple stretching exercises which are the basis of Suryanamaskar. It provides an inherent traction to the spine by stretching in Tadasana, not going to position 1 but just falling short of it, but stretching upwards to your maximum. And I taught him to do that in about 10, 15, 20 minutes, getting him to do it right. And then once he got it right, I said, look, you just practice this and keep in touch with me on the email. When I came back a year and a half later, this gentleman had improved fairly. He was now able to do touching his toes without too much problems. And he wanted to go further. I said, look, hang on, let your back get better. Let's do a few more things, let it become stronger, and then we will consider. Today, after about 6 or 7 years, 5 to 7 years since I first saw him, using Suryanamaskar, he has become perfectly normal again. He can practice Suryanamaskar quite comfortably with no issues. He is very proud about his personal success. He did not need surgery. I'm not suggesting all slip disc patients can get away with it, but there is an extra avenue of relief for those who wish to pursue it under guidance. I strongly recommend under guidance. Now, he has returned to normal to such an extent that you won't even know that he had a slip disc problem in the past. He walks around, runs around, he does long runs, I think half marathon, etc. and he's quite okay. At one stage I had mentioned to him that he should consider going back to trekking, but we haven't got there as yet, so one day we might get there. Now, one of the things that I learned as a personal story was, if I was in Pune, I would have just treated him with acupuncture and not bothered with Suryanamaskar as a technique. In this case, because my hands were tied and I didn't have much options, I opted for Suryanamaskar as a technique to help the patient. And lo and behold, what do I find? At the end of 4 or 5 years, I have lost another patient who doesn't pay me anymore, but who has recovered 100% using Suryanamaskar. But then it has also added to my arsenal of knowledge that Suryanamaskar potential is a lot more than I had given it credit for. And to help me do that and prove it, over the last couple of years, I've been treating people online over distances, demonstrating with WhatsApp videos or video calls, Zoom calls, etc. as to how it's to be done. And simple back pains, not a slip disc, but simple back pains have realigned themselves with this technique of stretching, and people are quite happy. So maybe the potential of Suryanamaskar is a lot more than I have been giving it credit for. And that's why I have presented this case. Now, we have talked a lot about the exercise scenario for the last 3 videos. This is the 3rd one where we are talking about Suryanamaskar. And we are recommending different exercises. So let us look at what we would ideally recommend. We obviously recommend stretching, but important to stretch and hold for 5, 10, 20, 30 seconds if you want the full benefit of stretching. We obviously are going to recommend Suryanamaskar because we know it is a complete exercise, cardio-pulmonary, physical, joints, muscles, stretching, the works, the way we teach it. We are very fond of slow squats because we believe the thighs and the calf muscles are very important, the hip muscles are very important, and a slow squat actually gets us there, helps strengthen these leg muscles very powerfully. We have talked about breathing pattern, complete breathing, and I think we recommend complete breathing for about 15 to 20 minutes at least every day. And we have talked about yoga as a very anabolic exercise where you will benefit immensely and there is very little wastage of energy doing that exercise. So yoga is something. We have also talked about yoga being a path to union rather than yoga as only exercise. So there are more options available when you go through yoga. Now, what are the benefits of these recommended exercises? Stretching. Stretching lengthens the muscles. It stretches and strengthens the ligaments. It pushes the joint, muscle, ligament to its limits. What is the benefit of slow motion exercise? It works the muscles through the full range. So you do not stand up pushing off with power and then in between the muscles go to sleep. So every muscle that is involved in the act of standing up or sitting down as part of the slow motion squat gets worked. Every fiber of muscle is worked thoroughly. Because it is slow, it works against intense resistance at every point of movement. And this is the other beauty of slow motion exercise. And then when we come to Suryanamaskar, fundamentally it works the whole body in every joint. It works every muscle of the body. It provides complete stretch. It generates strength. It develops cardiac and respiratory capacity and fitness. And when we practice grade 4, level 4, which is a 5-second Surya Namaskar, and it takes 115 seconds total time, it generates a 20-second pranayama at least 6 times during every Surya Namaskar. And that is something unique. So you are able to do a 20-second pranayama under duress of exercise in a controlled manner, and that definitely reflects a better health of the person. So, the recommended exercise we talked about in this session is about Surya Namaskar grade 3 level 4 or grade 4 level 4. Practice about 4 to 6 times once a day. We recommend grade 4 because grade 4 level 4 has got breathing control as well. The next thing we recommend is pranayama, doing it for 20 minutes per day with the aim of having each breath get up to 60 seconds. Now, for those who are starting out and getting only 20 or 25 or 30 seconds per breath, do not despair. If you push yourself consistently, within a few weeks you will find 20 seconds will become 40. Obviously 40 will not become 60 in the same time frame, so slowly you will inch up to 40, 45, 50, 55. Don't be surprised if while doing this pranayama exercise at the higher levels of time frame, that is when you get to 45, 50, 60 seconds per breath, you may sweat like buggery. It is not a sweat of exhaustion, it is a sweat of exercise. And you will be surprised that you will be all warmed up and hot. Now, at no point should you get lightheaded or dizzy at any point in time. In spite of me explaining all these in detail, Pranayama and Surya Namaskar both are very powerful aspects of exercise. Please take precautions doing these exercises at all times because we don't want you to go backwards. So when we talk about health benefit time, we have talked about all you need to know about Surya Namaskar. We have talked in depth about pranayama, complete breathing. We have restricted to only one breathing exercise, which is complete breathing. So having told you all that, having explained the precautions, we would like you to now practice this for the next 3 months, religiously every day at your level of ability. If you do it consistently for 3 months, you will find over time that it becomes a part of you. And then after that, generally, doing does not become a chore. It becomes a part of you, so now it is being. And when it starts becoming being and you're just enjoying doing it, you are on the path to progress. The funnily that I should explain this once more, When you do the Suryanamaskar consistently and when you do the Pranayama consistently, don't be surprised if every week you find changes in your health in some way, shape, or form, either in terms of flexibility, strength, energy levels, maybe passing wind a bit more, maybe more hungry, better digestion, better sleep. Different people can have different benefits. Please enjoy them, do this, make it a habit, get on the path to becoming freer from disease, and I wish you all very well. Just a brief introduction about who I am. My name is Anand Bapat. I practice in Pune, India, using natural therapies and acupuncture to heal people. I teach people Suryanamaskar through the scientific Suryanamaskar Academy, where we take 8 hours to teach people over 8 weeks.
Thank you, Anand Bapat, for your valuable information on health. This series is a 15 to 22 part series on developing oneself into a healthy person. This series will educate, guide, and provide support through our online educational and support services to enhance your health. All queries are welcome on the following email.
Download app Health Siren for all health solutions at your doorstep.